Get ready for the show that is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and maybe something that'll offend the hell out of you. It's the C&D No Bull Show, the show that discusses everything from politics to racing, breaking the issues down to terms even a prima donna can understand. So keep that Tylenol handy. Here are your hosts, Chris Mize and Doug Doc.
Oh, howdy.
What's happening?
Yeah, we're having a good time.
Yeah, like always, we'll start the show out. We want to thank our veterans. Without our veterans, we wouldn't be doing a lot of things we enjoy in life. Want to thank our military serving overseas in the homeland, protecting them freedoms that we have left. All our first responders, police, fire, EMS, and the doctors and the nurses. We really appreciate you guys right now. And everybody else that's working through the pandemic, Doug. I don't want to leave nobody out because then I'll get bitched at later. But let's go real quick before we get going. I brought it up last week, and I think I brought it up on the Speedway one. Say an extra prayer for our military tonight, especially the guys overseas. They're worn home for Thanksgiving, even though we're only allowed 6 people in the house. They had 6 people shooting at them probably over, in the Middle East. And they're not going to be home for Christmas. So, when we do our Christmas Eve and we're whining because, what's going on and we're only allowed so many and people aren't seeing at least you're getting up in your home, in your bed, going down, opening Christmas gifts, Christmas morning or doing your dinner Christmas Eve. They're sitting out there in a Humvee getting shot at and everything else protecting us. So say an extra prayer for them guys. And if you see a person in a military uniform, thank them.
Yes, for the freedoms that we have left.
Yes. Be a good show tonight, Doug.
It should be. You know what? We got a lot of stuff that we can cover. And I didn't think that ice cream would become political, but it has. Here we are with our ice cream now setting a political statement. Look, if you say something that somebody doesn't like, you're done. You're in Facebook jail. There's so much stuff we could be covering, but we watched together. Well, not together, but we watched the same program Thursday with DeWine, who I
cringe.
Yeah. So
we got some video.
We actually jumped on and taped some of the, just so we don't forget, and we can roll that later. But we have retired Sandusky Police Chief John Orzech coming on here in a little bit, as well as Erie County Sheriff Paul Sigsworth. And they will be able to hopefully give us answers. Who knows? They might not have the answer.
Well, before they come on, they might be in a room right now. I don't know. But, let's face it. We so-called in the last over a year handcuffed our police. I mean, you still there, Doug? I'm
watching.
We've taken. I don't even know how to describe it. A cop's afraid to do his job right now. The police are afraid to. They're under scrutiny. They're under. Doesn't matter if a guy's pointing a gun, got a knife, whatever. He better. I don't know if the guy's got to come at him, shoot at him, or what, but, they've been under fire. And we touched base a little bit about it last week where, there's a couple bad people in any business that you have. It doesn't matter what business.
Right.
We take thank God for cell phones that can videotape everything and be in 20,000 people's hands in, a matter of seconds.
Yep.
And you know, we only see certain clips of videos that the media or people want us to see. We don't see anything leading up to it. And no, thanks, Greg. We got one ourselves.
Yeah, we have our own.
Yeah, we got our own issues in Ohio. Believe for once, us Yankees and Southern boys got something in common. You know, shit politics. But you know, and it's tough enough that we're doing their, you know, they're having a hard time doing their job. And then, you know, we have orders come out, mandates come out, and basically it's not explained, in my opinion. It's not explained like it should be right away. The general public, and rightfully so, Doug, is going to, well, if I'm out past curfew, you know, the police are going to arrest me. If I'm not wearing my mask down the street, the police are going to arrest me. You know, the cop can pull me over for this. The police can pull me over, the sheriff, the state trooper, you know. So we're going to clear some of them questions up tonight, Doug.
Yeah, we talked about it, and instead of us just hashing through it, you know, what seems right and wrong to us, let's get a professional opinion on what actually will happen. Because if you remember, the governor put all the I hate to use this word, the onus on the store owner to make sure that everybody wears a mask that enters their store. Did they deputize them all?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, what it comes down to is he didn't deputize them. What he did was threaten to shut them down, fine them, and everything if they walk in there. And but you know what? If they had a TV contract, Doug, worth millions of dollars, it'd be okay.
I agree.
It would be okay to stay open past curfew. The question I got, and this isn't to ask John or Paul, the sheriff, question I got is, are they going to stop beer sales at 10 o'clock in them nights? That's the question I got. That million dollar contract, that it's okay because I'm not, this didn't come out of my mouth. Anybody that watched it Thursday. Well, the spread doesn't really actually happen much around inside the stadium. It's everything. So the reports say the curfew and that's working. It's bringing down the numbers, even though we've went up 1,000 more cases a day from the time it's been put in. But where's the reports, one? And we'll get into that later with the recording that we have. But you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, and these guys will explain it better. You know, you come out with a curfew, you come out with an order. Okay, fine. I get it. And I said this before, I'd have more respect if he come out with an order and said, that's that, and you better, you know, but instead it gives us examples of how to go around the order.
Exactly,
well,
yeah.
If, you know, and gives you, before these guys come on, they should be coming on any minute. Let's get real here. This virus is real, and it will mess you up if you get the worst strain, you know, or you could have the lighter strain. It will mess you up. No two ways about it. It's got the highest rate of contagious that we've ever seen, and it's running rampant. I get that. But we can't throw away our Constitution. We can't, you know, go through it. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey,
Good.
John.
Hello, how you doing, Doug?
Good.
Everybody, this is John Orzech, retired Sandusky police chief. Good time to retire, John. You picked the best time to retire ever happened.
I got pretty lucky. I think I'm going to go play the lottery or something.
Yeah. You know, getting into it, Paul had, Sheriff Sigsworth had, he messaged me. He's got another call. Hopefully he gets on here. But getting right into it, you know, I messaged you. Oh, there's Sheriff Sigsworth.
Hello, Sheriff. Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Good.
You know,
Hey, Sheriff.
Hey, Chief.
You guys know each other?
Just a little bit.
Getting into it, Doug's got some questions. Sheriff, we know you're limited on time here. We'll get right into it, Doug.
Yeah. So I guess the first question that everybody wants to know is, can you enforce the mask mandate as a law enforcement officer? Can you enforce that?
Technically, we may be able to. Realistically, we do not. If we get a complaint about an unmasked person, then we will refer that complaint to the county health department to evaluate and to make a determination as to whether there's a violation of mandates. Now, one thing I can tell you is that, and we have gotten calls about this, if a business owner has a rule that says that a person has to wear a mask to enter their business, and a person enters the business and refuses, then that business owner has the ability to ask that person to leave.
Okay.
If the person refuses to leave, then they could be considered a trespasser, but that's a different story and a different enforcement action that would be taken than wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
And that comes down to, Doug, a private business, just like out at the Speedway. Private business has the right to refuse a business to anyone, period.
Right.
It's not a public open place.
Right, Chris, and you may have had issues there where you've had people violate your policies, procedures, and you had to ask them to leave. And if they refuse to leave, of course, then you can call the Perkins Township Police and ask them to intervene and take appropriate action.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what the governor has done is put the onus on the business owner to assure that people inside that store or their business is wearing a mask. What right as a business owner do I have to force somebody, other than just say you need to leave? But if first of all, I can't ask if there's a medical condition. So the person says, "No, I'm just in here to buy my Pepsi and leave." And a health official comes in and sees that person without a mask. What happens?
That would be up to the health department. I think generally what I'm aware of is that the health department would try to educate and explain to the individual and the business owner why it's important for a person to wear a mask when they're in close proximity to others.
Okay, so does the health department then, do they have legal jurisdiction? Do they have some sort of legal enforcement?
Yeah, I can always defer to the chief, but you can jump in anytime you want, John. But yeah, they do. Under the executive orders, the emergency health orders, the health department would have authority. Now, what they would generally do is if they believe that someone would need to be criminally charged or charged under violation of the health order, then I think generally they would consult with a prosecutor before any type of charge would be filed, as certainly we would do if there was an egregious circumstance that we felt might be brought to the attention of the prosecutor. We would do that, but we would only intervene if it was very, it would have to be extremely egregious for us to take that step. And our people have been instructed at the sheriff's office, have been instructed that if you see something extremely egregious, then you can complete a report and make a referral to the prosecutor. But we would not charge at that time. And I don't know that we've made any referrals yet to the prosecutor, any prosecutor in the county, for anything.
Okay.
Yeah, and we didn't have any.
John, what's your position?
Yeah, we haven't had any masking issues. I think when I was in my position, and now with Jared Oliver as the chief, and the sheriff and Vince Dowden, we're kind of all on the same page. I mean, we talk to each other all the time. Our departments are all acting the same manner as the sheriff's office, as the sheriff just mentioned. We would respond if we got called. We haven't got called really on mask stuff. The most times that we were called were from the health department for quarantine orders and stuff, which is a lot different and a lot more serious. The mask thing seems to have taken care of itself, and I'm around as a sheriff is a lot of places, a lot of businesses, and I really see people complying with the mask order. People might not be going to businesses because of the mask order, but as far as people being out in the public, they're doing a pretty darn good job from what I see, and wearing the mask. Now, the health department does have a lot of power and a lot of authority in this. So, it is kind of a health crisis. So they have a lot of ammunition in their tank if they wanted to use it.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, guys. The department and the business I'm involved in, Sandusky, have been great. Have been great to work with. So, I'm not coming down on the health department in any ways or means. No. The curfew, on the other hand, go ahead, Doug.
before we get to the curfew, and this come up in the chat here. So I own a business. That's my business, and as you both said, it's private. How can the government tell me what I can do inside my business?
That's not a question for me to answer. That's something if the business ever had a question, to consult with their attorney. Obviously, and I know that there have been questions about the constitutionality of a lot of these issues, and those questions will need to be answered by a court. Okay. The place to debate those for us, is not, in the middle of a call, where our primary concern is to keep the peace. And so, as Chris said, and as Chief Orzech said, the masking order, we really don't have many issues with that now. A lot of people, I think, are voluntarily complying with the masks, wearing the masks. I know there have been some questions about the curfew, and if you want to switch that a little bit. So the question was, when the curfew came out, hey, are you guys going to be stopping people at 10:01 p.m. to see if they're out in violation of this curfew? And the answer is no, merely because a lot of people have legitimate business during the hours of the curfew. There are many, many, many exceptions that are in that order for people to be on the road. Now, we will continue to stop vehicles if the operator is in violation of traffic law, no headlights, no taillights, weaving, moving violations that could tend to indicate the individual's impaired. We will continue to do that, but to merely stop someone to ask, what are you doing on the road? No, that's really not our place. The governor himself even said when that curfew came out that we do not want to have heavy-handed enforcement of this. We do want voluntary compliance and for individuals to stay home between these hours. Again, how effective that is, I'll certainly leave that to the health experts. But from an enforcement standpoint, that's how we're approaching this. And there are so many exceptions to that. The place to determine whether someone meets those exceptions, it's not at the roadside at 2:00 in the morning.
And the problem I had with that, Sheriff, and John, is the way it come out. He did say that, but the way it come out, the common folk like me, and we talked about this before. I'm not educated as much as I should be on it. So let's just say, that order comes out. The first thing I think, Sandusky Police, Perkins, Sheriff, Erie County Sheriff, they can pull me over at any time because I'm out past 10:00 and almost like check my papers. And I didn't think that was fair to law enforcement. The common conception, it's in the public now.
Yeah, with the climate in the country as it is, the last 6 months or whatever, it does put law enforcement in a predicament. But I'll just echo back to the whole conversation that all of our agencies in Erie County are in the same page, and we're not going to be stopping vehicles. Like the sheriff said, there's so many exceptions to these rules that it puts people in a bind, and any enforcement action, if any that would be taken, would be strictly through the prosecutor on another day. We wouldn't be making like citations or on-scene arrests or anything like that. The only problem would be is, if somebody got disorderly and started disturbing the peace and those type of violations of the law, then that's where, puts us in a bad spot. But I think generally we hadn't had any issues in Sandusky with the orders and enforcement, or people. We did get a couple calls at first about the mask, and then we put a thing out like we're not the mask police and we're not enforcing that order. We refer to the health department, and once that first week or so went by, it's been relatively quiet and not an issue. But to your point, Chris, like the common people, or a lot of people. My wife works at Berardi's restaurant, and some of the old folks come in and have breakfast every morning, and they're not even aware of any of these things. They're not on social media. They're not, watching the news. They're not, getting the paper and stuff. So trying to get the message out to people on a consistent basis is also always a struggle too.
So and really, the thing of it is, I understand, Doug. I understand if you're driving down Perkins Ave, and let's just say Kroger's, for example. I don't want to pick on Kroger's. I shop there, and there's at 11:30, there's a group of cars there, and there's 10, 20 people standing outside their cars. That's a different story. You have every right, in my opinion, to stop at 11:30 and say, "What the hell are you doing?" That I understand. And I think the misconception comes in of, and you're right, John, and unfortunately for you guys, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Right. The last year has been a bitch on all law enforcement. I think you got a raw deal. I don't like what's going on, but it is what it is. I think we were talking about that before we come on, me and Doug, and they've handcuffed you to the point. That's a whole nother show,
Yeah. Hey, and Doug, Chris, I appreciate it. We look at it, and I think both John and I, Chief Oliver, Chief Donald at Perkins, the other chiefs in the county, we look at this from it's a common sense standpoint. Okay, and as the chief said, somebody driving down Perkins Avenue at 5 o'clock in the morning, to go to Berardi's. We don't want those people to be stopped because they have to, Chris, as you said, have their papers checked. We don't even want them to have that idea that that's what they're out there doing. And so that's why, it's so important that we have to look at these issues from a common sense standpoint and say, okay, what is the best way to enforce this, and who is the best agency that would be responsible to enforce this?
Okay, so you guys, and this clears a lot of stuff up, because for people who, like you said, don't have social media and stuff, don't really, they just hear these orders and they don't really understand it. They just, it's terrifying, and it just makes people scared to do anything. But so what you're saying is you're only going if you're getting called, and you're just making sure nothing happens at that point. And if there is a violation, it gets sent off to whatever agency is best to handle it. So,
Doug, in a nutshell, yeah. And even a lot of cases, if we get a complaint, a lot of times we will not respond with a law enforcement officer. The caller will be referred directly to the health department, depending on the complaint. Obviously, we exist primarily to keep the peace. So if we get a call and there is a breach of the peace, there's an argument or a fight going on over some of these issues, certainly we're going to respond. But first and foremost, as the chief said, somebody get disorderly, is there a trespass? That's what we're going to be concerned with, not necessarily if somebody was wearing a mask or if somebody was out at 11:30 at night, because again, with these orders, there are many exceptions.
Right.
And we are seeing for the most part, as the chief said, voluntary compliance with a lot of these.
Mm-hmm. So. And do you cringe when these orders come out? Just like, here we go.
I can tell you that in our role as law enforcement officers, we obviously read them and we do the best we can to determine how we can best enforce them if we need to, or if we get complaints, who would those complaints be referred to?
Yeah, and
Sheriff, I know you got John, hold on. Sheriff, I know you said you got another call you got to get on. Whenever you got to go, just let us know. We really do appreciate you guys coming on. But John, we're going to keep you on a little longer, John, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I got a couple more minutes, Chris, so I'm good. I'll let you know when I got to scoot.
Okay. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
It's fine. I guess the concern as an administrator of the organization and making sure that all the orders are followed, we got to consult with the prosecutor and make sure that we get the message down to the road guys and, the people doing the tough work. And, they're the ones that kind of get, the face of the public mad at them or having to deal with these kind of things. So, we try to make sure that we get all of the information that we can and gather it. And then, then the chief and, Donald, the sheriff, and Jarrett and I will, we would discuss it. And then this is the way we're all going to do it so that, we have a consistent message, across the county. And, some of the orders, to your point, yeah, you cringe at, but I will tell you that, this thing started, we thought it was going to be over in like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it was. And then it continued on. And, the health department, I would say, has probably been the worst year that anybody can work at the health department. Their employees are having to deal with, contact tracing and quarantine orders and, all these other orders and checking businesses. And it's a tough job. We had in contact with the health department when an employee would test positive, and we'd get constant communication, and they'd have a few here, a few there, and like a week ago we got an email. It's like, you're not going to get any more information from us because we're up to 70 to 90 cases a week or a day or whatever it was. And we get the information from the hospitals that I think 3 to 4 weeks ago, we were at 5 patients that were admitted, and we went up to like 47 in a week. And we're at 35 or 37 on Friday, the last time I seen. So it is a serious disease that, hopefully we're getting over the hump here, or, with this vaccine and all that stuff. But, it's, these nurses and doctors and all these folks, law enforcement, EMS workers, all the firefighters, man, they've done a whale of a job. I seen the Time Magazine thing, and somebody had, should have a Time Magazine for doctors and nurses and stuff. And I would say that should be the case. I have a couple daughter-in-laws that are, one's working in the ER, one's up in the clinic, and they've just been pushed to the max with trying to stay safe themselves. And we're trying to keep our employees, fire and police and any workers actually in the city. But 8 months of this and trying to be on top of your game every minute of every day has been a challenge.
So Sheriff, you probably have more insight on this. Two questions. One is, have you changed the way you do things now in terms of protecting your officers or your deputies when they're doing traffic stops, serving a warrant, whatever they're doing? And then the second part is, how are you controlling it inside the jail?
Two very good questions, Doug. Thanks. For our people on the road, of course, we're providing them with all the PPE that we can. And, we need them to mask up if they're going to make a traffic stop and be in close proximity to individuals. Same thing if they're going into a house to serve a warrant. And we have had deputies that have arrested someone, and 2 days later or 3 days later, they find out that they're COVID positive. So that's why it's so important for them to mask up when they're engaged in those activities. In the jail has been a constant concern, because as we've seen statewide, other county jails, state penitentiaries, COVID has gotten in those institutions and run rampant. And not only have they had, large percentage of their inmates get infected. They've also had a large percentage of their staff get infected. And so how are you going to staff the jail properly and keep it open when you have this potential? So you may have seen in the paper yesterday or the day before, the governor signed a proclamation to allow the Ohio National Guard to be utilized if necessary in the county jails around the state. And we are not to that point yet. We instituted a policy where every prisoner that comes in is held in quarantine cell by themselves until they can be tested. And once we get a negative test back, then the nurse allows that prisoner, gives us the information that they're negative, and we can then transfer them into general population. So we're pretty confident that the inmates in general population are not positive for COVID because they've all been tested before they're put in together in that congregate setting. But again, that's not a sure thing either.
Right.
We're doing the best we can with that. If we have prisoners that come in that are showing symptoms, before we even accept them, we'll consult with the nurse to see. We'll also, a lot of people have come in, they've been positive or they appear to have the symptoms, and we'll talk to the judge that has their case to see what may be able to be done alternatively to actually admitting them to the jail. But we have had people come in that are positive, and because of the nature of their crime, they're staying. And not surprisingly, we also have people coming in and telling the booking officer, I'm COVID positive. Well, of course they're not, but
right.
Just another excuse they're trying to use not to come to jail. So it's been a challenge. It will remain a challenge until we're through this. We have three corrections officers and one road deputy out now. They're all positive.
So have you changed the way you put people in the cells? So, for example, has it reduced your population because you can't put a lot of people in now because you got to keep certain cells, for lack of better words, available for positive?
Yeah, we've reduced our population in cooperation with the judges because we don't want COVID to run wild through the jail, because if it does and the jail has to be closed, then none of the alternatives to that are very good and certainly not efficient for the law enforcement agencies in the county. So our population is down, and it's down because we have prisoners in single cells now. And we have dormitories that are designed for 10. We used to house 15 to 18 in those dormitories, and we've cut that population down as well to make sure that as much as possible in a jail, we have the prisoners properly distanced.
Okay. And then one last question I have, and both of you can respond to this. Has this, it has to be an increase to and hit to your budget in trying to control this and wiping down cruisers and steering wheels and things like that. How's that affected you?
Chief, you want to go first? You want me to?
Yeah, so when the first couple rounds of stimulus money came out, or CARES Act money, a lot of that was directed for purchasing PPEs and other items to sterilize and that. So as far as hitting the city budget in general, that money came from a reimbursement from the CARES Act, and we did do a lot of stuff. I mean, we isolated our officers. They weren't allowed to come into shift meetings together for a long time. We had single stations. They're doing a lot of stuff out there in the cruisers by themselves, sterilizing their cruiser before the shift, after a transport, at the end of their shift. So there is a lot of different things that they've been doing that are out of the norm. But as far as that budget, but the biggest one was the budget overall for the city, when we had a $24 million budget, and we're going to be down $6.5 to $7 million at the end of the year this year. that's a tough task.
Yeah.
The admissions tax was down from projected 4.7 million to 1 million, and income tax, and so dealing with that, more so with the personnel side of things, organization wise in the police department and the city, we've not filled positions through attrition and things like that to get through this year, and 21's not going to be that much greater, but we have a pretty decent budget, and that's going to get approved I think next month. But we have started hiring police and fire, the safety services back this in the last week or two, so those things are starting to come back. But that was more of an impact, you guys, than the COVID stuff. The supplies and
Cedar Point.
Yeah, it was tough. Our city got hit, probably harder than most places in the state because of our reliance on admissions tax. So it definitely was an eye opener.
And Doug, I would echo, what the chief said. A lot of it came down to budgetary issues because of the downturn in the economy, especially in our county overall in 2020. So we had positions that went unfilled. As John said, we've started to fill some of those positions now in the county. But I can tell you the commissioners have been very, very good to work with. They've seen, the predicament that we're in, and they've been able to allocate additional COVID-19 funding that they got from the state or federal government directly to our agency. So we have been able to purchase proper PPE. We've been able to, spend a little bit more on overtime than we have in the past to fill vacancies that have been caused by employees that have been absent due to COVID. So, we keep doing what we're doing. We'll keep doing it every day, and we'll do the best we can with what we have. I did want to comment on something that Chris said too about, us being caught in the middle, and we are, and I appreciate, your comments and your support. But as the chief said, man, if you're prone to say prayers, say some prayers for the people in the medical profession, the nurses, the doctors over at Firelands, over at Mercy and Lorraine, and how hard they are working every single day, 12, 14, 16-hour shifts every day in the climate that they're in, doing the best they can for some very, very critically ill people. And the concern I've got is, we see a lot of trauma cases, weekly in the county, traffic crashes, medical calls, maybe trauma due to assaults. And, these individuals need ICU beds. And the last thing I would want to see is be at a traffic crash and, have somebody critically injured and there's no place to take them.
Right.
So, we hope that, the medical folks are able to do their thing that they do every single day and keep everybody healthy and also have enough beds for the trauma cases, for the calls that we go to, let alone all the COVID cases that are coming in. So they got a tough job, real tough job.
Yes, they do.
Chris? Well, all I can say is I thank you guys for coming on. I wouldn't want to be in your positions. With everything that's gone on in the world before this that was going on against law enforcement, and now this thrown on, I couldn't imagine. People don't understand. You got criminals you got to chase. There's a lot of hard criminals, and for your guys to go out and chase them down, not only do they got to worry about some jerk off having a camera video and only what they want to video, then they got to worry about the criminal actually turning on them, harming them. Now they got to worry about COVID-19. I commend you guys and everybody that works with you guys. I mean, for you, I just we appreciate it. I mean, we always have.
We got a question here. Can you force someone to take the test just because they're under arrest?
Take what test?
COVID.
Yeah. If they enter into the jail, yeah, we can. Okay. Because we have a mandate to ensure that we don't put somebody sick in general population and infect the whole jail. So what we would do now, we're not going to hold somebody down, but if they refuse, they're going to stay in a quarantine cell until they can be tested.
Okay.
So
basically what that comes down to is, even though you have prisoners, and I call them prisoners, whatever you'd want to. They have a lot more rights than people think, and you can't just throw another prisoner in there that's infected and not give a shit. That they got to protect the health that's in there. Correct?
Well, oh yeah, we have a constitutional mandate. It's the 8th Amendment to the Constitution, cruel and unusual punishment. So for us to ignore what's going on and just, if, like you said, throw people in together, we can't do that. We would never do that.
Right.
And so we have to protect the health of the inmates in our custody from communicable disease, as well as protect them from all other things too. So yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
I'm sorry.
That was the word I knew it was in the Constitution, and I couldn't think. I'm not smart enough to know what number it was, Ziggy. I just knew it was there, and
we deal with it every day, Chris. So, but Doug, to answer your question, I mean, we would not, if somebody came in, we're not going to somehow physically restrain them and make them take a test.
Okay.
But what they would do is they would be kept in a quarantine cell. They would not be placed in general population until they test, and they tested negative. So we do have some control over that and where they're housed. Yeah.
Okay. And how long could that go on?
It could go on potentially indefinitely, but I think if they didn't have any symptoms within 14 days, then we would pretty much know that, and that would be up to the medical personnel. But I think the common sense answer would be, hey, after 14 days with no symptoms, they're probably COVID free. And then, there would be determination made as to whether they go into general population, they stay in quarantine. That would be left up to our medical people. Yeah. But I mean, if they're in jail 4 months and show no symptoms, I mean, you pretty much can probably determine what the answer is. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we wouldn't just arbitrarily keep somebody in quarantine, but to ensure the safety of the other prisoners in the jail, that would be necessary to do until we know, or the medical staff knows, that they're COVID free.
Okay.
Guys, I don't want to keep you on much longer. We really appreciate your time coming on and explaining some things. In the future, as this goes on, wouldn't mind having you guys back on if you'd be willing to come on.
Yep, anytime. Yep. I appreciate the offer and the invitation, and it was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to be on. Appreciate the support. So, and this is a good opportunity to answer people's questions. To kind of help educate people too. So, we don't want
where this came from.
Well, like you said, and like you guys saw, we don't want people to be terrorized. That, oh my God, we're going to stop because we're going to work at 4 o'clock in the morning because there's a curfew on. I mean, we don't want people to be afraid of us like that. So
right.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, guys.
All right, you guys take care. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Good bunch of guys there. Them guys are class X, Doug.
They are, absolutely. Happy to have them on, and they did answer a lot of questions. So
I'd hate to be in their shoes.
Exactly.
It sucked to be in their shoes, but So, Doug, Governor DeWine came on Thursday. We watched it.
Yes.
And I was wound up as hell, man. I was mad, upset. What?
Yeah. I forget what actually, and that's why we actually taped it then, because I kind of forget what really stirred things up. Oh, because if you've got money, you can stay open. You can violate this curfew. We even, it's big money, big media. You want me to roll that?
Yeah, we got a little clip.
What's that?
And I said we got a clip to play because we were kind of wound up, and we knew by today we'd be calm.
Yeah, let me. Yeah, and we are. So let me play the first part of it, and we'll see. Then we'll take a break and we'll talk about it. From Thursday at 3:08. We just got done watching DeWine, and this is just for the common folk. This does not make any sense.
If you listen to what he said, he's a freaking moron. I mean, listen, we got a curfew that's extended to January 2nd. Okay, we all knew that was coming. Everybody knew that was coming. He wasn't going to let that curfew go for New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve and all that shit. But there's 4 exceptions to the curfew, Doug.
Okay.
Cleveland Browns Monday night football game.
Absolutely.
And Columbus Crew pro soccer team. The University of Cincinnati has a night game coming up, football. And Cincinnati Bengals have a Monday night game. Them are all the exceptions to the curfew.
All the big
because, quote unquote, Doug, not out of my mouth, because I believe I have more freaking common sense in this asshole. Quote unquote. Well, we know that COVID doesn't spread inside the stadiums. It's the stuff that goes on before and after. I don't even know what to frickin' say, man.
I'm speechless. First of all, the whole curfew thing is just so ridiculous. So he said that the curfew is working.
The curfew. You got to watch the video, people.
How do you know that
It isn't me and Doug that made this shit up.
No.
You can't make shit up like this, Doug. In all honesty, you cannot make shit up this stupid. If you did, I don't know if we'd be as good of friends as we are, to be honest with you. I mean, I might be able to make dumb shit up,
right?
Because I'm that smart. The curfew's working, and masks and the curfews are working. I know our numbers are still. We were 12,000 yesterday, weren't we?
Yeah. So how do they know the curfew's working? That whole however many hours?
Mine said it was.
Oh, okay.
Because the curfew's working, but he had about 7 doctors on it. Pretty much said, "Stay home, don't go there, don't eat together, don't do that." But the curfew's working, and masks are working, Doug.
So since the mask order came out, this thing has taken off, and
let's revisit that because we only got about 2 minutes left in this recording. When the mask order went into effect right before High Miler, right? It was mid-July.
Yeah.
We were at what, 1,200, 1,500, 1,100 cases a day?
Yeah.
Mask was going to stop it and put us on an even keel and drop it. What were we yesterday? I didn't even look at the numbers today.
It was a little over 10 grand.
Yesterday? Okay, then maybe today it was 10, 12,000.
Yeah.
It's working, Doug.
So I still can't figure out how a curfew is working. I don't know how that's working. Because we don't have it defined by hours. We don't say that, you know what? We get a lot of COVID cases at 2:00 in the morning.
What do the reports say? Just like bars and restaurants, the report says, what fucking reports,
I'd love to see that and how they figure that out.
Has he showed them yet the reports? He hasn't showed them the media that was asking for it. 2-3 times they asked for it. What report? Now, the reports are showing the curfew's working. We're probably going to have to record another video.
No, we can keep going here. So let's talk about Kroger's.
Okay.
Put them out there.
Here we are. Now, this isn't a Kroger mandate because they got to do it down by you and everything.
Right.
We're going to stop COVID. They got 2 entrances, so we're going to stop COVID and slow it down by shutting one entrance down.
Yeah. Yep.
Hello. So you got 500 people going in and out of the store, okay? Let's just say 500 people.
Right.
Now you have 2 entrances, so you figure split up, 200-300 one, 200-300 the other, whatever, in and out. Nope. Here's what we do. We'll shut that. We're going to slow COVID down by shutting that one entrance down. And you're all going to jam through that other goddamn entrance, bumping into everybody and everything else. But we put an exit sign and an enter sign, and everybody's going to listen. Give me a break. Who's making this shit up, Doug?
I'd like to know, because if it was me, I would think, at least if we use one entrance for in and one for out, we can stop the whole
crossing.
Right.
That's what it was supposed to be. If you remember back in the spring, that's what it was supposed to. We had to do that at a certain place.
Right.
One in, one out.
One in, one out. Right.
So there's no crossing. Now what we do, because some genius in Columbus was sitting at their desk and felt like, I better come up with some stupid order like the rest of them or I might get laid off, and wrote it down and said, you shut that exit down and we're going to use one exit so everybody can bump into each other. If I had 10 entrances on a business, I'd want all 10 entrances open to alleviate everybody going through the same door.
Right. I'd like to have one of those geniuses join us so that we can kind of hear. I'd really like to know what goes into these. What do you think about at night?
Yeah, what do you lay there in bed and have a dream that Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Dumbo and all them come seeing you in your dream and go, hey, I think this would be a good idea. Wake up in the morning, go in your office. Look, Mr. DeWine, look, Director of Health, here. What do you think of that? Oh, yeah, that'll work. That'll slow it down.
Oh, we're back. That'll slow it down.
Oh, boy.
What's going on with your internet?
I don't know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can hear you.
I spoke out against the government. I'm getting smacked, probably.
Yeah, obviously, it kicked you off 3 times.
Yeah. I was pissed off. We probably, well, it was good that we made that recording. I wasn't calm like I am now. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff that they're doing doesn't make sense. Let's close the exit down so everybody has to bump into each other. Do you get that?
So weird.
That's going to slow it down. It's going to create more. I mean,
what is interesting about that is down here, we were actually talking to employees who, obviously this came from higher ups because they're like, makes no sense to us either. We're told we have to do it, and that's what we do. So,
and the bad part, Doug, is it doesn't come from the local. Your local health department, and they're taking a shit for it, and that's sad. They do these press conferences, and they go on. Now I'm starting to get wound up again. They do these press conferences. They come on and they say, "Well, it's up to your local health departments." If I'm Pete Shade or one of these health administrators in the county, I'm just sitting there looking in disbelief. Well, they say that, but yet they give them mandates that they have to put in place. It doesn't matter. And to close an entrance down and make everybody go through a 20-foot area.
Right.
What?
Maybe it would be worth our while to contact Pete Shade and see if he wants to come on and talk a little bit about this. I mean, I'd really like to ask.
I got a good relationship with him right now, Doug.
Because they take the brunt of it. And they're doing their job. Actually, you don't hear about them until something like this happens. But maybe he could shed some light on some of the whys we do what we do.
It'd be worth it. Yeah, we can bring him on. I mean, Pete's been really good to us. I mean, the Erie County Health Department to what we do has been excellent with us, Doug, and we've kept in good communication with them. But for the state, this isn't an Erie County mandate because they're doing it down there where you're at and everywhere else in the state. Right. This is an Ohio mandate. And where do they come up with this shit? Who's sitting there thinking, let's have 2 entrances that spreads contact, within the 6 foot. It alleviates it in half. And now, guess what? We're going to shut that entrance down, and you all walk through the same goddamn door. And because we put an exit and enter on 2 doors, everybody's going to obey, and you ain't going to bump into each other. I mean, go to get a cart, you got, 5, 7 people there. You're walking by them. It doesn't make sense. It just really doesn't make sense. And like I say, this exists. The contagious rate is off the chart, Doug. We've went into that.
We agree with it. It's a bad virus. It's very contagious, and if you don't have a good immune system, it will take over. Not doubt any of that.
To sit there and say, "Oh, it's not happening in the stadium," no. Here's my question to this:
happening in the stadium.
I don't think
that's the case. Let's just get all these people who are suspectable. Is that what the word is? And get them in the stadium, because it does not go into the stadium.
Well, and the thing of it is I'm in agreement with, outdoor events should be allowed to run. I feel indoor events should, with proper spacing. But here's my point to all this is this. You set a set of guidelines and put them forth. Now you're tripping up and picking and choosing which business you want to be outside that guideline, but yet mom and pop's restaurant, bar, whatever, you know what? You kiss my ass because you don't have a multi-million-dollar contract with TV. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I mean, that's wrong, Doug. That's wrong. It's showing big business, big money controls it, and he don't give a shit about the little restaurant in your town or the little bar in your town. Now, if they're not following the guidelines, don't get me wrong on this, and I said this before, if they're not following the guidelines and doing what they're supposed to do, shame on them. I feel, it is what it is. You reap what you sow if you're not following the guidelines. But if you are, and you're suffering because of some of this bullshit, and he opens it up to these bigger business like the Browns, Bengals, University of Cincinnati, Columbus Crew, that's not right. That's wrong in every aspect of what's going on today. And the problem is, so we got people out there, oh, well, okay, the Monday Night Football will be on. Yeah, Monday Night Football is going to, but what about the curfew all us other assholes got to follow? Question is,
right,
are they going in there and making sure that no beer sales take place after 10 o'clock?
We should have asked the sheriff and the chief that.
I
don't think they would know. I mean,
they wouldn't know, but, that's my question. Are you going to shut down beer sales at 10 o'clock at these events that are going on? It's out of hand. We knew he was going to put the curfew till, January 2nd.
Yeah, because that's working out really well.
Yeah, well, where's the reports?
Let me call and ask. I got a hotline. The DeWine hotline.
Well, the DeWine hotline, the bat phone.
Listen, there's a Freedom of Information Act out there, and we can get that information if you really want it.
Well, I want it. I want to see where he, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I know things got to be done to slow this down. I understand that. Right. I'm not dumb to think that, we got to slow it down. But I'm also pissed off about how they're doing their numbers now. All these numbers jam in for today, and they're not cross-checking, and then we'll pull them out later as we cross-check. Or are you going to show on a 10,000 day, and you pulled out 2,000 from the last 2 weeks? Are you going to show now an 8,000 day? No, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. And it is what it is, Doug.
I got the hotline.
You got the hotline?
Yeah, we got the number posted.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I'll call that tomorrow.
you know, let me tell you, many times, right? It's
Hold
only
on,
them bullshit.
hold on. Back that up because you were cutting in and out there,
Am I okay
or
now?
you're completely. Go ahead now. You can.
Well, it's about the right. We've called Columbus so many times that we might as well call 1-800 bullshit because that's what we got. You know,
They'll play answer.
I'll have a supervisor call you back in 5 minutes. What's your number? Kiss my ass, my number, because it ain't happening.
I'm going to see if that number's still good tomorrow, and I'm going to give that a call and see if they'll send us over the information, because the Freedom of Information Act, we should be able to get it.
We should be able to get the reports that he's reading off of that told us Thursday the curfew is slowing. And Doug, the curfew went into effect. We're at 8,000. We're at 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who, you know, maybe he should have did the Common Core math nowadays. I don't know. But where I'm from, that's 3,000 more. But it's working.
We'll have to ask some kid what the real answer is.
Yeah. Hey, son.
Right.
Math nowadays, when I did, it's different nowadays. Can you explain to me how 3,000 more ends up to less?
Right.
You know, I mean,
they put 80 people in the hospital today. Why don't they ever say, but 93 got out?
They're not going to tell you.
And you're right, Greg. It is all about the media. And in that second portion of the video, I think I talk about it a little bit. You know, they'll say, you'll read headlines where businesses closed because of COVID. That's not true. It's not because of COVID. It's because of all the orders that they put out.
Mandates and restrictions. The mandates and restrictions.
COVID didn't have anything to do with it.
You know, and it pissed me off when they say, well, the Roadhouse or Bob Evans, that's corporate chain, they'll be okay. You know, if they shut down for 6 weeks, they'll be okay. No, they're not going to. Yeah, they might be okay. But what about the poor people in our community that work there and depend on that job, Doug? They're not going to be okay. You know, they're not going to be okay. And, you know, I feel bad right now, and I really do, for the doctors and nurses, like Ziggy and John were saying. You know, they're overwhelmed. And I get that. But the hospital shouldn't have let a bunch go at the beginning of this. And what about the flu rate? I just seen where one of the reports come out. The flu rate now is down 60%.
Yeah.
How the frick did the flu go down 60% from what it's been the last 15 years? Can anybody explain that one to me? I'm sorry. You know, we're so busy.
Common Core math again.
Common Core math, man. Common Core math. Government math. Let's call it government math. You know.
Government math, yeah.
And let us not forget, we do have politicians that are fighting for us and on our side. Not every politician's an asshole. Yeah, we do have some that are fighting. DJ, John Cross, you know, Nino Vitale is pissed as is right now for, you know, the whole Rick Young situation. But, you know, he's fighting against some of this stuff. You know, you got these guys that are fighting against it when, you know, but we still got people up, you know, down there in Columbus that are making orders that when they make orders, they can't explain them. You know, like, well, the reports show. What reports? Put them out front and show us the report you got that says this is a report showing actual facts of how the curfew is making it go lower. This is a report showing the actual fact. At 10 o'clock, there's COVID spreads. Show us the reports, and then maybe I'll say, you know what, he's doing the right thing. But
since we instituted the mandatory face diaper, it has decreased by, it went up.
Yeah, it went up from 1,500 to 10,000.
Okay, so Greg Miller says that Last November, Medina County had 1,473 confirmed flu cases.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
November, 41.
That's what I mean. You know what?
We got rid of
That's because everybody's staying home, Greg.
it. Yeah, wearing their face diaper and
Yeah, that's because it has nothing to do with COVID. It's all because, you know, listen, at the end of the day, if you research this, DeWine a month ago said he extended the state of emergency for Ohio. Remember that, Doug?
yes.
He says, I talked to the hospital administrations. We extended the state of emergency. Remember how pissed I was? I called you that son of a bitch. You know what? We won't have a flu case this year because that means they extended it. When a hospital treats COVID, they get federal government money. You know, that's all that extended. If he didn't extend that and they got that money, I guarantee you, I'm not saying our cases might be down. I'm not saying that at all, but I guarantee you, Greg's numbers will be about 4 cases in Medina County in November of the flu.
Right.
I'm just putting it out there. You know, biggest scam on earth right in front of us, and we're sitting there going do 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 do. You know.
Well,
keep me wound up.
Yeah, we've been on 1:06 now, so we didn't get to Facebook yet. We'll save that till next week because it'll always be a hot button topic. We didn't get to Colin Kaepernick, but I got to show this because we got to talk about this next week because this is just retarded. This is real, folks.
Some more shit you can't make up.
Colin Kaepernick changed the world. Non-dairy ice cream. Sweet justice. Dig into the flavor inspired by Colin Kaepernick activism for a more just world. What do you think of that?
Well, what do I think of it?
Yeah.
What do I think? When are they going to come out with Tim Tebow's ice cream?
Oh, come on now. Now, do you want to know what's in this, just in case you want it?
No, because it's probably going to taste like shit.
No, listen. Caramel with fudge chips, graham cracker swirls, and chocolate cookie swirls.
Well, if Tops comes out with something like that, I might eat it, but I'll be damned if I ever buy Ben and Jerry's.
We will talk about that next week because there's a couple underlying things with that whole thing. Don't you think? Did you leave?
I don't know. I had a phone call come in.
Oh,
I probably should take that after. No, it is Sheriff Sigsworth. That's
Sheriff
it. You report to the. He called. I just declined it. I'm probably going to get arrested now.
You better take that call.
No, that's all right. We'll get you. No, when you hit your beds tonight, please say a prayer for Bev. You know, Jake X family's going through some hard times. Please say a prayer for our military, all our first responders, you know, police, fire, EMS, and our doctors and nurses.
I forgot to run our scroll.
There, run our scroll.
There you go. For those of you left.
Yeah. All right. God bless you guys. God bless America.
All right. Talk to you later.